You can't 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and then take 5 more seconds to hit the button. You can't do that. That is cheating. Okay, hi Internet. I'm sorry, Michelle was back there counting down with her wonderful 10-second, 5-second countdowns. All right, so welcome everyone way out there. No one sitting up front. They know where my spit zone is. So to Broken and Remade, today I have a little message here that I want to talk about, and it actually the title of it came from a verse very early in what I'm going to teach. It says, "Stand up, I myself am also a man." All right, so the idea of broken and remade, one of the many ideas, obviously, I keep saying the idea of, but one of the things with broken and remade that I want to make sure we understand is, biblically speaking, okay, and speaking of God and His ability to heal, help, and use us, we are absolutely on a very even playing field. None of us are any better than anyone else. It's truly the grace and mercy of God, and through that any of us can accomplish or do anything that seems to be, glorious or rewarding, because it's the glory to Him. Okay, and we're going to cover that. But the problem in the church, like some people in here, like out there, I know I have people who don't attend a church regularly. It's not their thing. They have not committed their faith to any religious system. They do not call themselves Christian, but they'll still watch, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for you. But and I've discussed this before, everything I teach is from a Christian perspective, because it's at the core who I am. I am a Christian. I have put my faith in Jesus Christ. I do believe He is God in the flesh. I do believe He died. I do believe that He rose from the dead. And I have committed my life to that fact, okay? And that is something that I hold very dear to me, because it establishes who I am. I am a believer in Jesus, and I truly, everything I speak comes from that perspective. But there are people who are not of that perspective. When they look into our churches, and they look into Christianity, much of what they know, hear, and believe about Christianity is not Christianity. It is a representation that they've seen from people, because we are really all some people know of Christianity, us Christians. And when they look at Christians, how Christians act, how they behave, how they, do things and interact with people, that's their concepts of what this Christian thing is. They don't have the full knowledge of what's in the Bible, some of them out there. Some have studied it, some have tried to figure it out, but many, if not most of those who have not committed their faith in Jesus Christ, ultimately don't truly really know the whole concept of what's in that book. They've only heard teachings about it, or they see church representations of it. And I want to make sure people know that true Christianity, true faith in Jesus Christ, is drawn from the Bible. Not from people, not from men and women and people but from the Bible, okay? And the Bible oftentimes contradicts what we think Christianity is because of some misrepresentation. Okay? Make that pretty clear. I mean, it's really true. So I'm going to teach some sections in the Bible here that are very vital to history of trying to establish this we're all equal thing. Because I know a lot of people out there think that equal does not exist in church. Like equal, that word, they think that's not a Christian word, because Christianity has like a hierarchy, right? Or an authority type system, and those guys tell us what we're supposed to do or what we're not supposed to do. And if we don't do what they say we shouldn't, if we don't do what they say we should do, or we do what they say we shouldn't, we have lost some favor with God, and we've got to earn back some favor from God because of our failure to this religious system, right? So let me read through a major moment in history. In the Old Testament, okay, you know the Old Testament, New Testament. The Old Testament, what is going on there is God is dealing with a specific nation of people. And this specific nation of people are the chosen ones he has chosen to introduce they're called oracles, or laws, or expectations, or really his revelation of himself. He wants to show who he is through these people. That's the whole goal of the Bible, you understand. The goal of the Bible is for us to find out who God is, understand what he expects, and find out what he provides, and have that understanding with him, do what he expects, and then we are welcomed into eternal life with him. I mean, that's the concept of the Bible. And so the Old Testament, through these people, the Jews, Israel, and there's a lot of story buildup throughout all of, when you start in Genesis and go all the way through the Bible, there's a lot of different things that happen that bring the knowledge of God to this group of people. Revelations of himself, he meets with people, he talks with people, he introduces his law through Moses, right? His rule set, his checklist, his stuff. He says, if you can do this, then you will have my promises. They ultimately couldn't, all right? It was a system that was not able to be done by humans, and that was the whole point of why God gave it to them, was to show them, okay, you want to be perfect, do this. And we look at that to-do list and we're like, whoops, failed. It revealed to them who they were. They were people who couldn't live up to God's expectations. They just couldn't. And over again, there's a pattern of failing, not doing what God expects. God oftentimes gave hundreds of years and warned them before punishment would come. And then finally, after hundreds and hundreds of years, he would bring some judgment upon them. I know even Noah and the flood we hear about as one of those dramatic moments of judgment on this earth. God allowed 120 years to pass before he brought this rain down. I mean, that's a lot of years of like a man's out in his yard building some gigantic like wooden structure, and they're like, this is weird. And they asked him about it, and they're like, what's going on? What are you doing? He's like, well, listen, judgment's coming, and God is going to make it rain on this earth, and we are going to be destroyed because we're not following him. If we repent and do what he says, you can be saved and all this. And so for 120 years, they're sitting there laughing at him going, dude, you're crazy. You are absolutely crazy. It has never poured water from the sky like you're talking about. You have no idea what you're well, 120 years go by and it happens, okay? And these warnings come. Eventually, the Jewish people, they're told that a Messiah is coming, which means an anointed one, someone who is going to basically bring them peace, mercy, freedom, and they're thinking this is great because they continually fall under slavery and bondage, and different countries come in. I'm an Assyrian, and one of the nations that capture them and take them into their slavery is the Assyrian people. Now they allowed them to set up some camps and have lives and stuff, but I'm one of those people in my history, my ancestors who were used to bring judgment on these people because they kept disobeying God. And so ultimately then, in Acts chapter 10, where we're going, Acts chapter 10, we're going to see one of the very, very, very first moments when God looks at these Jewish people and tries to make them understand something very, very important. That you and them, the you and them thing, like we live this way. Like there's always like you and then them, like we're on teams right now in politics. Let's not bring it up too much. But right now, there is definitely a you and them feeling right now in Washington. Whatever team you're on, Whatever side you're on all these topics, there is a huge division of us and them, no matter what side you're on. And that is also how the Jewish people were. They were like, okay, we are the people of God. It's us, and then it's them, which them in the Bible are called Gentiles. Anybody who is not a Jewish person with their faith in the God of the Jews, back then where there was the tabernacle, the altar, the place where they were doing sacrifice, that system that God had set up through all the generations of the people, if they weren't in there doing this and following that God, they were them, okay? That's how they thought of it. God, through Jesus, does something amazing that they have yet to discover. He takes away them. Like it is now all us. We are all now humans who come short of the glory of God. We can't do the things God wants us to do, all of us. Even Mr. Churchy Man. I sin, I mess up, I fail bad. Michelle can give you the true laundry list. Look at her smirking back there. Stop it. I can give you your laundry list. Oh, it's us and you. Okay, anyway. I love my wife.
Mary Poppins.
Oh, Mary Poppins. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, anyway. So, I fail. You fail. We all fail. We know this. Look at the world. Don't humans tend to fail? like even secular bands have sung about, where's peace? Where's love? Give peace a chance. Where is the love? There's all these titles of songs out there that everybody in the world is looking around and going, we're not doing so well. Loving each other, finding peace, giving mercy, like just telling the truth to each other, being honest with each other. How many people have gone relationship to relationship being hurt by somebody who was an outright liar and didn't ever show themselves true until the very end, and then you're like, wait a second. It's a deceitful, evil group of people we all are. It's sad. We all have a tendency. But it's also a beautiful fact that I can't ever look at you and judge you not as worthy as me. I can't do that. No church person should be able to do that to you. Because church people, Bible people, are on the same playing field of failure you are. All of us together. And God has provided a way now to unite all of us as people who can't with the one who could, Jesus, to bring us together in love of each other, because I can love you now and you can love me now because we're no different than each other. White, black, Asian, whatever class you are, whatever country you're from, whatever position you hold in the workplace, anything about you, I'm no better than any of it. I'm just a person who needed a God. That's all I am. And me standing up here and teaching Bible verses to you makes me no better than you. All I'm doing is trying to introduce you to a God who loved me anyway. Makes no sense. Accepted me anyway. Makes no sense. Did things for me I didn't deserve, which makes no sense. Because he showed me I can't earn anything from him. But he still gave it to me, and it's amazing. And I want us to understand as we look around at others in this world that there is not broken people who cannot be mended by this God. There's not. But man, it's so easy to look at them and go, you're them. And so that was happening in this day and age when in Acts chapter 10, verse 24, a little story is introduced. Now there's some build up to this story that I'm not reading. You should read all of chapter 10 of Acts, okay, on your own time. But I'm going to start in verse 24 where the situation has now gone beyond the initial thing. So what happens is God appears to a gentleman named Cornelius. Cornelius is a captain. He's like a leader in an Italian regiment. So he's an Italian guy, okay? Which is cool. I love this. And so this guy in the Italian regiment, he is not a Jew. He's not part of the Jewish system. But what he does, as you learn in Acts, he prays and sacrifices and gives and loves the God of the Jews. He truly believes in that God. He thinks their God is the God. He's from outside looking in, okay? And so Peter, who's one of the main dudes, shall we say, which is not a biblical word, that's my translation of the Hebrew. This dude, Peter, who is a very, very vital piece of this whole beginning process of Christianity. He was a witness to Jesus' death. He was a witness to Jesus' resurrection. Jesus actually told him he was going to be somebody who would do something in the churches, in the land, okay? And Peter, he has a vision. And this vision is, hey, listen, you need to go visit with this guy Cornelius. There's going to be 3 guys that come visit you, or however many guys it was that came, and you go with them, and you're going to go to Cornelius, and you're going to talk to him. So each of them knew about each other from afar, this Italian guy and Peter. And Peter's like, okay, well, all this came after a vision Peter had, which was really kind of neat. A blanket came down from heaven. And on this blanket, now he's seeing this vision. I don't know if he's dreaming. I don't know if he's seeing it like actually, conscious. Whatever's happening, this vision brings down a blanket, and there's all kinds of animals on top of the blanket. And when he looks at the blanket, there's all kinds of animals, meaning in Jewish culture, you could only eat certain animals. They were called clean. And then there were certain animals you weren't supposed to eat. They were called unclean, obviously, the opposite. And God looks at this blanket of animals and looks at Peter and says, take, eat. And Peter's like, oh, no. I have never eaten anything unclean. I will not do this. I'm not going to. And God looks at him and he says, don't ever call unclean what I have called clean. He's like, you take it. You do this. All of that was to show him, and we're going to see in a moment, that God is taking away this division of clean, unclean, and he's uniting in one people to be saved by Jesus. It's really cool. We're going to see this in a moment. He's going to explain this to Cornelius. There's the buildup. So verse 24. And the following day, they entered Caesarea. Now Cornelius was waiting for them and had called together his relatives and his close friends. This is really cool. He gets the whole family together. He's like, all my buddies have to come and hear this. I know this guy's coming. He's a Jew. He's going to talk to us about God, and we need to learn about this God. This is going to be really neat. And I've had these kind of moments, by the way. Like, it's really fun to talk to people about God, even unbelievers. Do you understand that? It's fun. Like you can get together and get, you ready for this? You can sit and have a meal with someone who does not believe in your God and discuss your God. Explain to them what you believe. They want to know. Even if you're not forcing them, you must believe what I'm telling you or I will hate you. It's not that. You can tell them, listen, this is my God. This is why I believe in him. And I've had these talks and they're fantastic. And so Peter's about to have one of those talks. And it says in verse 25, as Peter was coming in, I love this verse, by the way. Listen carefully. Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet and worshiped him. Okay, now, Peter, let's talk about him for a quick moment. I don't want to offend anybody. I really don't. I love you. But there are churches who say Peter was the first pope. He was the first true leader of the church. And popes are above any other Christian. They are the number one. If he says it, and says it's from God, we must listen and obey it because he is the Pope. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. But listen carefully to what he tells Cornelius when Cornelius falls down and worships this fella, this first pope, some people say. But Peter lifted him up, saying, stand up. I myself am also a man. Don't you dare worship me, he's saying. Don't you dare fall at my feet. Don't you dare hold me up like that. Don't do that. Stand up. If you are bowing to a man, if you are putting yourself under the authority of a group of men, whatever religion, I'm not picking on one or the other or whatever, I'm just saying non-Christianity, Christianity, anything. If you are saying and putting yourself under the authority of a man and saying, this man knows so much more than me, I will listen to everything he says, you are not living biblically. Peter's like, get up. I'm just a man. If you come here because of Bob, if you come here because of Michelle, if you come here because of this church, if you come here because of the pastor of this church, and that's why you're here and you just want to hear him and you know he's the greatest, be very careful because he himself or she herself, some of us put ladies in that position, they're just men and women like you and me. We're no different. But it's Pastor so-and-so. Okay, Pastor so-and-so is just so-and-so who needed a God. Really? We can't do that to men. We can't do that to women. It's not the appropriate way to see who God is. No one's better than you. Peter here is saying, Cornelius, Italian guy who's not even a Jew, who's not even in my religious system, get yourself up. I'm just like you. That's an amazing statement. Do you understand how amazing of a statement this is? You're going to find out in a moment. It's not even legal by the religious standards of the day for Peter to be in this house with these people. Because it's not right. You're with a bunch of unbelievers hanging out in their house. What did Jesus get accused of oftentimes? He's a wine bibber. He's a friend of sinners. He sits with them at their house. So guess what? Yep. Because I'm just like you. I can sit with you. I can talk with you. I can love you. Even when you're not part of my group, right? And so here we go. And as he talked with him, he went in and he found many who had come together. Then he said to them, verse 28, you know how unlawful it is for a Jewish man to keep company with or to go to one of another nation. Unlawful. This is illegal by the standards of the temple at this time. You can't do this, Peter. You can't do that. How can you go hang out with them? Remember the them and us thing? It says, but God has shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Do you understand something? He's talking to a man who has yet to put his faith in Jesus. He's talking to an unsaved Italian man right now, the Italian regimen guy. That's pretty crazy. He's saying it's unlawful. I shouldn't do this, right? But God showed me something. I should never look at somebody and say, you're common or you're unclean. Wow. What a difference that sounds like to some of the people I know who love their Jesus. Well, they're a bunch of such and suches. Well, they're a bunch of sinners. They're a bunch of dirty, rotten, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't even be around them. You need to cut yourself off from them. You need to shut yourself away from them. And I've been part of churches like this. That's them. But how contrary to Jesus and to Peter here is that? He went to them. He went to them to show them they're loved, to show them that they're welcome. And you are welcome with God. And it says, therefore, I came without objection as soon as I was sent for. I ask then, for what reason have you sent for me? So now he's leaving it in their court. Okay, so why'd you want me? And here's what he says. So Cornelius said, 4 days ago, I was fasting until this hour, and at the 9th hour I prayed in my house. And behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing. And he said, Cornelius, your prayer has been heard, and your alms are remembered in the sight of God. Again, I want you to know something about this guy. He has yet to understand who Jesus is. God heard him. If you're not a believer and you're praying to God and you want to know who He is and you truly cry out, you're doing good to people, you're trying your best, you want to know what the truth is, keep doing what you're doing and praying what you're praying. Pray to Him, show me. Show me. That's okay. You can pray that because He will show you. I did that. I was, the night before I came to know God, to know Jesus Christ as my Savior, the night before, I was on my bed crying my eyes out. And I was hyperventilating thinking, I want to die. And I was thinking to myself, but I'm scared. I'm scared to die because I don't know what's out there. I don't know what's next. And I held my breath while I laid in bed. It was really weird. I was a morbid little kid. I wrote like death poetry and I was all scary and like totally like emo and gothic and all this stuff, okay? I looked like a prep, but inside I was like, I had chains and black like lipstick and black nail polish. Anyway, that was my inside. My mom wouldn't let me dress how I felt. Curse my mama for that. Yeah. You wear this polo shirt, but I want a dark shirt. Okay, anyway. That's another story that my psychologist wife can help me with later. I laid there going, I want to know. So I started going, okay, here's what I'll do, whatever you are. That's what I said. Whatever you are, here's what I'll do. I will kill myself to you. I don't want to die. So if you prove to me, if you show me who you are, if you just give me a sign, show me, even show up at my window right now. I want to look out my window. I want to see your face. Show me. I will kill myself in the sense that I'll just give you all of me. You can just have my life. I don't want it anymore. And I looked over. It's the weirdest thing. I looked over. I had a little picture on my wall. Now, it was a representation of what Jesus may have looked like by a painter, okay? Not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to have images and different things up and assume. None of us really have a wonderful picture of Jesus. And let me take a side note, by the way. If you have a blonde, Caucasian, blue-eyed Jesus on your wall or on a statue, okay, can I at least go out on a limb here and say that's not what the Jew looked like? I'm sorry. But I want to at least say that because maybe he had some recessive genes going on, but I doubt it. But listen, don't trust every little statue you see. Don't trust every little drawing you see, okay? You need to look in your Bible to find your God, to find your Jesus, okay? So Caucasian blonde Jesus, even though some of them look pretty cute, you know, and pretty manly, that might not be what our little Jewish carpenter looked like, okay? Or big Jewish, I don't even know. So here's the deal. There was a little picture up on the wall. I looked up and goosebumps all over my body. And I was like, oh, okay, that was weird. Okay, no, that was just stupid. And I'm crying some more and I'm like holding my breath still going, what if this is death? What if this is death? What if I forget everything? And then I looked up again and goosebumps again. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. All right, here's the deal. I'm going to look out my window. I want to see you. And I went like this. I went, okay, 1, 2, and I buried my face in my pillow and went, no, never mind, I don't want to see you, I'm so scared. And I freaked out. And I was like, if you're out there, I don't want to see you. I was like, please, no, okay? So I freaked myself right out. So anyway, that was a really weird night. The next day, though, I went into a video game store where I worked, It's GameStop now, but back then it was Babbage's. And I went to a guy that was there that I knew was studying the Bible, and I said to him, I was like, all right, listen, I had a really bad night last night. I was like, I need to know something. Tell me about your Jesus guy. Like, I need to know this guy. Like, you believe some born again thing or saved thing. Isn't that terms you use? Is that what you say? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, so come on, lay it on me. What is this? And so he conveniently had a Bible, and he took me to the back room after we closed the store, and he opened his Bible, and he showed me the message of Jesus at this point. And he's like, listen, you're a sinner. You mess up. We just all mess up, and we need somebody to die in our place because we owe a death. We owe a penalty. And I'm like, I've heard this before, right? And I'm just like, okay, whoa, wait a minute. That's why Jesus died. Like, whoa, wait, that's why he died. Like, this is, all of a sudden, it was like this screen came off my eyes, and I'm like, I get it. I was like, what do I do? I get this. How do I accept this? And he's like, okay, this is true. I really was freaking out like this. Joel, you're out there. You know this is true. And he's like, okay, well, pray to him right now. Tell him. And I'm like, Lord, I totally get it now. I totally accept this. This is what I want. I know Jesus died for me now. Oh, this is great. And so I looked at him and I'm like, you got church tomorrow, right? Like it was Sunday tomorrow, like it was a Saturday. And I was like, can I go with you? And he's like, well, yeah. So I went to church, and at the end of church, like this guy's yelling up there the Bible, like this kind of thing. And I'm like, I've never seen that before. I went to other churches, but it was never like Mr. Yelly Pants. I was like, what is happening up there? And, it was always like, through him, with him, and in him, in the unity of the Holy. There's chants and things. Some of us know. And that's all I ever knew. And this guy's hollering, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I'm like really listening though. And at the end, he does this thing called an invitation. He says to people, he's like, well, listen, if you've trusted Jesus, if you put your faith in him, you're supposed to be baptized after. And I'm like, oh, Joel, hey, Joel. And I knock on his leg, and he's like, what? I'm like, shouldn't I go up and do that? Because I totally trusted yesterday, right? He's like, okay, what? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, go tell that guy. And so I ran down there. I'm like, hey, I think I got to get in that tank and get baptized right now, don't I? Because yesterday I did this whole save thing. It was so crazy. And all of a sudden, I'm in the tank, and I'm getting baptized. And the next week, I said to Joel, can I go to church? And we went to church. And at that invitation time, I'm like, I think I'm supposed to do that yelly, screamy thing that guy's doing. How do I do that? He's like, go tell that guy. So I ran down the aisle. I said, yeah, I think I'm supposed to do what this guy's doing. And they told the church, well, this guy thinks he's supposed to be a preacher. It was so crazy. Cornelius is kind of having this moment. And he's waiting to hear this news. He's out here okay, what's up? But the Jews don't understand this yet because that's them. So here it says, verse 32, send therefore to Joppa and call Simon here, whose surname is Peter. He's lodging in the house of Simon, a tanner by the sea. When he comes, he'll speak to you. So I sent to you immediately, and you have done well to come. Now, therefore, we're all present before God to hear all the things commanded you by God. He's having a Joel moment, right? Like I had at the video game store. He's like, okay, we're here. We know we need something. We know you're the one to give it to us. We need this. So here we are before God. Go. It's a pretty cool moment. And again, remember that verse where Peter's like, well, you know how unlawful it is for me to even be here? This is against the rules. Well, here's the rules. You ready? Ready? There's the rules right there. The whole rules. All the rules were, you ready? A reflective mirror to show you what God expects out of you and how well you would do if you had to do it on your own. Not very well. I am so thankful I don't live under those hundreds and hundreds of rules that the children of Israel had. I mean, I would have been stoned in the streets by now if I was under that rule set. Cursing your parent? Oops. Did that a few times. You're supposed to be stoned for that. Okay, get the rocks. Because guilty. When I was 18, I worked a double shift. And I came home, pulled up the driveway, put the garage door up, And inside the garage was my whole bedroom. And I was like, it's like 10 something at night. I'm like, what is going on? I walked in the house. I said, why is my bedroom, like my whole bedroom, everything, like all my possessions are in the garage? I walked in and I said, what is going on out there? She said, if you won't clean your room, then I figured I'll just put it outside. Oh, did I break the law right then? I said every possible word and then some I invented to that woman. And I packed everything in my car and I said, you know what? I know the worst thing that I could do to my mom right now. I'm going to move in with Dad, who they just divorced that same year. And I said, I'll show her. My car looked like this because I had my whole bedroom in the back seat. Because within 2 hours, was out of there. Dad, I'm coming to live with you. My dad's like, no. And I'm like, sorry, coming anyway. And I cursed her out. I should have been drug out in the street, killed with rocks by the law. But praise God, that's not how I have to live anymore. Because God's already evened the playing field and said, none of you can do it. None of you can. So we're all equal. It's so cool that we're equal. None of us any better than anyone else. And so here it says, verse 34, then Peter opened his mouth and said, in truth, listen carefully to this verse, I perceive that God shows no partiality. That's so cool. That means equality. You're equal to me. But that's a woman, Bob. Yeah, equal. Well, that's a black gentleman over there, Bob. Yes, equal. Well, wait a minute, Bob. That person's done this and this and this in their life. Yeah, equal. I've done this, this, and this, and a few things you don't even know about because I have some secret stuff. I have some stuff, some people, nobody knows what I've done. And I'm thankful. Boy, am I thankful that some people don't know what I've done. Equal. So cool. Man, it's so cool. So it says, but in every nation, every single group of people, every nation, whoever, anybody fears him and works righteousness is accepted by him. You ever feel like you're not accepted? Especially by church people? Like they don't accept me. They don't see me like I belong. I feel outside. Even if you're a church member, sometimes you feel like you're not quite up to the standard of them, some others in that church. Well, they're the leadership. Well, they're the deacons. Well, they serve every week in the church. I'm not as good as they are. Stop that. Stop it, stop it, stop it. God shows no partiality. You are equally loved. You are equally accepted. You are equally equal. Cheesy little English phrase there, but we'll go with it. Oh man, I love this equality. And it says you're accepted. Don't ever feel rejected. Because if you've put your trust in him, you are accepted. As you are. Mistakes and all. I messed up bad even after becoming a preacher. Drunk, sleeping around, all kinds of mess. But still accepted. It's so crazy. Like I can't even believe I'm still around. Like I shouldn't even be in the church, but his grace and mercy allows me to be. It's insane to me. But it's beautiful when you see it for what it is. So verse 36, it says, the word which God sent to the children of Israel, preaching what? Peace through Jesus Christ. He is Lord of all. That word which was proclaimed throughout all of Judea and began from Galilee after the baptism which John preached. Verse 38, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power, who went about doing good and healing who? All who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. So Jesus went around and healed all. Everybody. Do you understand something? Jesus also healed some who would not believe in him. He also helped some people who would be at the cross yelling, crucify him. He helped and healed. It says there's not enough room on this earth to contain all the books of the works and miracles that he did. Do you know how many people he helped that probably moved on with their lives and didn't even think twice about the Jesus that died on that cross? He helps and heals and brings peace. And here it says, to all who fear him and trust in him. Now, it says, verse 39, and we are witnesses of all things which he did, both in the land of the Jews and in Jerusalem, whom they killed and hanged in a tree. So that's Peter talking about, listen, I saw this. I watched this. Like, we are witnesses. I'm an eyewitness. Do you understand when we read the Bible, we're reading like eyewitness stories of what they saw. They didn't just make all this fiction story up. It says, him God raised up on the third day and showed him openly. You know how openly it was? There was